So the next topic what you're going to see is Telnet. So before going to know about Telnet, first of all, we can see what is the remote logging. In remote logging, user can log on to a remote computer and can use the services available on the remote computer and transfer the result back to the local computer. So what is remote logging? The remote logging is nothing but a user with some local computer can log on into a remote computer and can use the services available on the remote computer and can transfer the results back to the local computer. This is called remote logging. Next, Telnet. So Telnet is a client server application program. What is Telnet? Telnet is a client server application program. So Telnet is an abbreviation for terminal network. The first two letters of terminal and the first three letters of network, they combine to form Telnet. So Telnet is an abbreviation for terminal network. So it is a standard TCP/IP protocol for virtual terminal service as proposed by the ISO. Okay, so it is a TCP/IP protocol for virtual terminal service and it is proposed by International Organization for Standards. So Telnet enables the establishment of connection to a remote system. By using this Telnet, we can establish a connection to a remote system in such a way that local terminals appear to be a terminal at the remote system. Okay, so by using this Telnet, we can establish a connection to the remote system in such a way that the local terminal will appears to be a terminal at the remote system. First one, time sharing environment. So this Telnet was designed at the time when most operating systems such as Unix were operating in the time sharing environment. The time sharing environment is nothing but many systems will be connected to one system and they will be using on time sharing basis. Okay, so large computer will support multiple users. Multiple users will be using the one large computer and they will be using on time sharing basis. That is, first sometime one user will be using, the next sometime another user will be using, and next sometime another user will be using. In such a fashion, it will be working. So logging. So in a time sharing environment, users are part of the system with some right to access the resources. So time, you know what is in time sharing environment. So in time sharing environment, you'll be having many users. That users are a part of a system and they can access the resources. So each authorized users will be having a identification and a password. Okay, each authorized user has an identification and probably it will be a password. The user identification defines user as a part of system. So if a user with a particular password or identification is entered, then the system will know he is an authorized one. To access the system, user logs into the system with an user ID or login name. With some login name or some user ID, the user will log in into the system. The system also includes password checking to prevent an unauthorized user from accessing the resources. So in order to prevent the unauthorized access, it will be using password. Local login. There are two types of login. One is remote logging, another one is local login. When a user logs into a local time sharing system, then it is called a local login. As a user types at a terminal or at a workstation running a terminal emulator, the keystrokes are accepted by the terminal driver. Okay, so first we are going to see the local login. In a local login, whenever the user types at a terminal, the keystrokes are accepted by the terminal driver. The terminal driver passes the characters to the operating system. The operating system in turn interprets the combination of characters and invokes the desired application program. So what are the things that is happening in local login? In local login, first of all, the user will type the user ID or user ID. So it will know that he is an authorized member, okay, or an authorized user. First, the user will type some keystrokes, okay, will be user types at the terminal, and that keystrokes will be first accepted by the terminal driver. This terminal driver will pass these characters to the operating system. The operating system interprets the combination of characters and invokes the desired application. Okay, three things are doing. First, the user is typing the some keys. That keystrokes are accepted by the terminal driver. Terminal driver will pass it to the operating system. The operating system will interrupt it and it will invoke a desired application. Next, this is a figure of remote local login. This is a terminal. In the terminal, the user will type the some keys and it will be accepted by the terminal driver, and the terminal driver will pass it to the operating system, and the operating system will interpret what it is and it will invoke the particular application program. Okay, this is something called local login. Next one, when a user want to access an application program or utility located on a remote machine. So next one is remote login. So in remote login, if a particular user want to access any program on some remote machine, then he or she has to perform a remote login. So here the telnet client and server program come into use. So mainly this telnet is used for remote login. So here also the user send the keystrokes to the terminal driver, where the local operating system accept the characters, but it does not interpret them. Okay. In the case of remote login, the operating system does not interpret the characters. Just it will accept. The characters are sent to telnet client, which transforms the characters to a universal character set called network virtual terminal characters. So what the operating system will do, operating system will transfer their characters to telnet client. The telnet client will transform the characters to universal character set called network virtual terminal characters and delivers them to the local TCP/IP protocol stack. The commands or text in the network virtual terminal form travel to the internet and arrive the TCP/IP stock at the remote machine. Here the characters are delivered to the operating system and passed to the telnet server, which changes the characters to the corresponding characters understandable by the remote computer. However, the characters cannot be passed directly to the operating system because remote operating system is not designed to receive the characters from telnet server. So it is designed to receive the characters from a terminal driver. So we are adding a pseudo terminal driver which pretends that characters are coming from a terminal driver. Okay. So the operating system then passes the characters to the appropriate application program. So this is a diagram. First, the user is typing something in the terminal. That keystrokes are received by the terminal driver, and the terminal driver will pass to the operating system, but the operating system does not interpret. It will send it to the telnet client. Telnet client. The telnet client will convert it to a network virtual terminal characteristics. Then it is passed to the internet, and then the NVT characteristics are again changed into the normal characteristics, and it is given to the pseudo terminal, and the pseudo terminal will invoke the particular application. This is the process of remote login. Okay, so the main difference is here the operating system will not interpret anything. It will just hand over it to the telnet client. Telnet will transfer it to NVT and it will send to internet. and it is again received by the another telnet server, and then again it is transferred to the normal form, and the pseudo terminal driver will invoke the particular application program. So this is a procedure that is followed in remote login. Next, concept of network virtual terminal. So this is a local computer network set, and it is given to the telnet, and it is converted to network virtual terminal characteristics, and it is passed in the internet. Again in the telnet server, it is again changed to local computer remote computer characteristics. That is, it will be understandable to the particular remote system. Then it is passed to the pseudo terminal driver. The telnet solved this problem by defining a universal interface called network virtual terminal character set. Via this interface, the client telnet translate characters, that is data or commands that come from a local terminal into network virtual terminal characters form and delivers them to the network. The telnet, the server telnet translate data and commands from NVT form into the form acceptable by the remote computer. So NVT character set. NVT uses two set of characters, one for data and another for control. How many character sets NVT is using? It is using two sets, one for data and another for control. Both are 8-bit bytes. For data, the NVT is an 8-bit character set in which the 7 lower order bits are same as ASCII and the higher order bit is 0. For data, the higher order first bit is that the first higher order bit is 0, and for control, the first higher order bit is 1. So this is a format of data and control. So if the first bit, the most significant bit is 0, then it is a data character. If the most significant bit is 1, it is a control character. This is some of the non-virtual terminal control characteristics. EOF, it is nothing but end of file, and it is having a decimal value of 236. Next one, EOR is end of record, and it is having a decimal equivalent of 239, decimal value of 239. Then sub option end, it is 240, and no operation, its value is 241, and data mark, DM is data mark, its value is 242, break is 243, and interrupt process is 244, and abort output is 245, and are you there, it is 246, and erase character is 247, erase line is 248, go ahead is 249, sub option begin is 250, will is 251. Will means it is used to agreement, it is an agreement to enable option. On means it is a refusal to enable an option. Do means arrival to option request. Don't means denial of option request. IAC is interrupt as control. Okay, interrupt as control. Sorry, not interrupt, interpret as control. IAC is interpret as control. Embedding. So actually this telnet uses only one TCP connection. The server uses a port 23 and the client uses a ephemeral port. Ephemeral port is a temporary port that is used in the TCP. Ephemeral port is a temporary port of TCP. The same connection, actually this telnet will be using only one connection, and the same connection is used for sending both data and control characters. For sending both data and control, you are using only one character. Telnet accomplish this by embedding the control characters in the data stream. How it is possible? This telnet is accomplishing this by embedding the control characters in the data stream. However, to distinguish data from control character, each sequence of control characters is preceded by an special control character called interrupt as control. So if you are sending some control character, so before that control character, you will be having one interrupt as control special character. So when the receiver, when it is getting this IAC, it will know that it is a control character and it is not a data. Next, options. Telnet lets the client and server negotiate option before or during the use of service. Before going into some service or during the service, the client and server will be going for some negotiations. Okay, some options. These options are the extra features available to a user with more sophisticated terminal. What is the use of these options? They give some extra features. Users with the simpler terminals can use default features. So these are the some options. So first one is binary option. The code is 0, interprets as 8-bit binary transmission. 1, code 1 means echo. Echo the data received on one side to another. It will echo. It will transfer to the next one. Suppress go ahead. Third one, that is suppress go ahead signals after data. So these are the some of the options. Okay. The line mode means change to line mode. So if it wants, it can use this special options. Option negotiation. To use any of the option mentioned in the previous section, first requires option negotiation between client and server. Before going into before using some options, first the client and server must go into some negotiations. So these are the set of options for negotiation. That is will. Will is nothing but it is offering some enabling. So on means rejecting a request to enable. Do means approving an offer. Don't means disapproving an offer. These are some of the option negotiations. Okay. So these are options, some of the options. So this is already we have seen. This is nothing but the option negotiation. Next one. First, offer to enable an option. How an option is enabled? The sender will send, I will enable the particular option to the receiver. If the receiver is ready for that enabling that option, it will send do. Do means please do the enabling process. Don't means please don't enable that particular option. Okay. This is a process for enabling an option. Next one, request to enable an option. It is asking, shall I enable the option? So here it is saying, I will not enable the option. He is saying, I will not enable the particular option. I won't enable that option, or I won't enable the option. So here the difference between the first one and the second one is, here it is telling, the sender is telling I will enable this option. The receiver will tell, yes, you can enable or not. But in the second case, the sender has enabled the option, but the receiver is saying either I will use or I won't use. That is the difference. Next one, offer to disable an option. So sender is telling I won't use the option anymore, and it is telling the receiver to disable. So receiver telling don't use it. So this is disabling an option. Next, request to disable. Don't use the option anymore. The sender is telling and receiver is telling I won't. Modes of operation. This Telnet implementation operates in one of the three modes. It operates in three modes. First one is a default mode. Second one is a character mode, and the third one is a line mode. It is operating in three modes: default mode, character mode, and line mode. In default mode, so this default mode is used if no other modes are invoked through option negotiation. So what is default mode? If any user is not invoking any of the option negotiation or some other modes, if it is not using, then the mode is default mode. In this mode, the echoing is done by the client. The client will do the echoing. The user types a character and the client echoes a character on the screen, but not send it until a whole line is completed. So this is default mode. Next one, character mode. In character mode, each character typed is sent by client to the server. The server normally echoes the character back to the display on the client screen. And in this mode, the echoing of the character can be delayed if the transmission line is long. If the transmission line is long, then there is a possibility of delay in echoing. It also creates overhead for the network because 3 TCP segments must be sent for each character of data. Next one, line mode. A new mode has been proposed to compensate for the deficiencies of the default mode and line mode. This line mode is mainly implemented to overcome the problems that is occurring in default mode and character mode. In this line mode, line editing is done by the client. The client then sends the whole line to the server. So these are the 3 modes. Okay. So what are the 3 modes? Default mode, character mode, and line mode. So this is what the telnet is. So telnet is a client server program. It is used to it is nothing but the terminal network. Okay, it is terminal network.